The Harry Man Show.
Every school computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey, welcome to the Harry Man Show, number 22. We're awakening and falling with Kevin Kerr. Today I have a local drummer as well known, plays in various country acts and some well-known local bands here in Phoenix. How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, good, man. How you doing?
Good. I know a little bit early for both of us, but we're going to get this show out for everyone, and I hope you're fully awake.
Oh, I am.
Right
My
on.
cat gets me up rather early, so she has to go outside and use the restroom. So she kept me up early this morning.
Yeah, I got two dogs that did that to me too as well. But well, Kevin, just tell about what bands you play in to get started here and how you went about getting into drums.
Sure. So currently right now I'm actually playing with two different country acts. Dirt Road Kings is, I've been with them for about 5 years now. We've been doing things on and off here and there. Of course, with the pandemic and everything, we're not really able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
The other band that I play in is the Buddy Martell Band. So these are the two acts that I'm doing right now. Buddy Martell's a little bit more active right now. He goes out there. He's a go-getter, so he gets out there and gets a lot of acts right now.
Cool. So he's very active on the scene himself.
Yeah. He tries to be active as much as he can. I know it's really hard right now with everything that's going on, but he's able to one-offs here and there. We were out at the end of May. We went out to Payson. We actually played out in the woods. That was a pretty cool little gig. And then we just recently, a couple weeks ago, we actually went out and did the same thing again. We actually went out and played again. So he's a really good country dancer as well. So
really?
he's in with that crowd. Yeah. So they do these little things where they go out in the middle of nowhere. They do their little country dances and stuff like that. So he's able to, hey, how about you have my band come out and play, and in between while the band's taking a break, I'll dance with some girls and maybe even guys. I don't even know.
Do you see people more anxious to see live music, or is there still maybe a little recluse on that end?
No, you know what? I see it a lot more. Just actually last week or the week before, we actually we played out in downtown Chandler. There's this little it's a little square. It's right between DC Steakhouse and there's a new bar that's coming up for country music called the Distillery. Huh. And this guy actually owns this little chunk of land, and it's privately owned, so he can do whatever he wants with it. So we actually played out there. He booked us for the night. We came out there, and we actually packed a lot of people. A lot of people just walking by, stopped, wanting to watch. Some had masks on, some didn't have masks on. Me and my guitar player, Mike, we decided to stay up on stage. We didn't want to go down there, but Buddy was down there dancing around and stuff. So they're having a good time.
Well, that's got to be a good feeling. People are, still, wanting it, and I can't wait till we all can go back out there and do our thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so just to pull it back a little bit, what got you into playing drums originally?
Well, if we go like way back, what actually happened was a buddy of mine, old friend, I've known him forever. His name's Jeff Bill. Him and I, way back in grade school, decided, and I'm going to put this out there because people are going to go, what? So there was an orchestra at school, and him and I, we actually wanted to play like guitar or something, but the closest thing we could get to guitar and why we thought this was the violin. So both him and I were going to go play violin. We thought, let's do something that way. It's strings. We'll kind of learn we'll kind of learn how to use our fingers on strings, and maybe that'll help us with guitar. Mm-hmm. Well, my oldest brother, Dusty, he actually at the time was playing guitar with a couple of buddies, and I told my brother, I said, I'm going to go, I want to play guitar, I want to learn to play guitar. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me and goes, no, you don't. We already got one guitar player in this family. He's like, you're going to be a drummer. I said, oh, huh? And I never really thought about it. So, come 5th grade, 10 years old, I'm like, well, let's give this a shot. So I talked my parents into, the old school where you have the Remo practice pad with the bell tree. It came with the tree. It's like a Yamaha thing or a Remo setup or whatever.
Yeah, I still have mine.
I wish I still had mine, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, not that I ever used it, but those things were loud. They weren't really a practice pad. I mean, those things are almost as loud as a drum,
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Yeah.
So that's actually how I started. Then I just started listening to things. I started listening to drums, and for some reason I started trying to air drum. And as I got older, I started realizing I was pretty much air drumming pretty close to exactly what real drums were. So it kind of came natural to me, which I don't know how, because nobody in my family is drummers. Nobody. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of guitar players and, spread out through the family and stuff like that, but none of them are drummers.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up air drumming. One thing I used to do, looking up to certain drummers, did you ever visualize the drum set that drummer was playing, like picture-wise, and air drum to in your head? Yeah, I can't be the only one who did that. Like, I would always look at the pictures and be like, all right, if I'm going to air drum, I'm going to see this in front of me.
And the worst thing is, especially if it was a big one, you actually really wanted that drum kit, too.
Yeah, we all go through that Neil Peart phase. Well, I still am. No, I don't mean that in the wrong way, but I still go through those circle, drum arenas, but you got realistically, you can't carry that stuff around with you all the time.
Nope.
All right, and then going into that, did you get a kit around that time, or did it take a little bit longer to get a full drum set?
So it was a little bit longer, but it was really cool. My dad one day just surprised me. He went over to he went to an auction. And he brought home this older Ludwig.
Oh, nice.
Oh man, it was just a red sparkle,
mm-hmm.
And he brought it home, and it was just a tom, a kick, and a snare, and it had this really crummy. It didn't have a name on it, and I wish I still had it to this day because I'd try to research it. Some ride cymbal. I feel like it was like an older Zildjian ride, possibly, but it had some wear to it. So it was a very old kit.
Do you remember? Do you remember what the badge looked like on it?
There was no badge on it. There was nothing.
Oh wow!
There was. It had a really big dome on it. It had a really big dome, but it had this ping to it, and it was glassy. So nice. I wish to this day I actually gave it to a buddy of mine. I taught him how to play drums, actually, and I gave it to him, and I said, here, you can use this right now, and just went through phases, and out of the blue, one day I come to him, and I said, hey, man, I need to get my stuff back from you, because he was moving around, and he says, dude, I pawned it. I said, how long ago did you pawn it? And he's like, dude, it's been a year or so I never saw it again.
Yeah, that's sitting in someone's garage in South Dakota or some crap right now.
Yeah, probably.
But do you remember what kind of badge it was on the drums, though, at all?
On my Ludwigs?
Yeah.
I don't remember. So here's the sad part with. So I still have the shells to this day.
Oh, really?
I actually kept the shells. And if I could go back and kick my young self, I would do it, because what I did was I was going through this phase to where I was like, I've got old stuff on it. I want to put some new stuff on. So I pulled all the hardware off of all these drums, and I threw it away. Why would I do that? So I threw the stuff away, every bit of it. And then I decided myself, I said, well, you know what? I'll put some new stuff on it, or just make it look cleaner or something like that. And I'd have to go look at the stuff. I have it out in my garage, actually, but I felt like I drilled a couple extra holes to try to make some new lugs, and I just ruined it. I just obviously, like I said, if I could go back, I'd kick myself, because I would have kept that thing together just the way it was. I feel like it was an older 70s Ludwig, maybe even an 80s.
Yeah, it sounds. To
be honest with you,
yeah, it sounds like the club kit. To be honest with you.
Yeah, just and it's a 20-inch kick, or just a 12x8 tom. Nothing too fancy. Might even be a little bit shorter, but I still actually have those to this day. And then when I was in high school, They actually had some old Ludwigs, and it was that red metallic glass cover, the same that I have. It was like a 15-inch tom, and they walked up there like, "We're about to throw all these out, and we know that you have a kick and a tom that match this. Do you?" I said, "Yeah, I want it." So, so I've never done anything, but one of these days I'm going to try to put them back as close as I can to what they used to be if I could find all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll help you out if I come across some hardware with that.
Man, sounds good.
Yeah. And then, what drummers were you looking up to at the time?
Funny to say. So, like, okay, so when you go back to that, so when I grew up, like I said, my older brother was playing guitar. He was like into like Megadeth and Metallica and Anthrax and Rat and everybody. It's like, I mean, I know everybody gives Lars like a really bad rap and stuff like that. And I'm not going to say he's the greatest drummer in the world, but man, he obviously did something to do something where he is today.
Well,
and
he kept a band like that together, like strong sounding. I mean, like I think everyone should pay credit where it's due. I mean, he was a hit maker, man.
Yeah. I'm not gonna down on him for it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the most technical guy, but I mean, he tried new things, and he goes back and forth, and I appreciate it when I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at every single drummer. I don't care how young they are, how old they are. I don't care if they just started. If there's always something to learn from every single drummer out there. I don't care who it is.
Yeah,
I mean, I watch them, and I've heard drummer friends and or just people that, man, that guy sucks. I'm like, I don't know. There's something that's probably you could take out of that guy right now that probably would benefit me as a drummer anyway.
Yeah,
so,
it sounds shitty, but you got to steal licks and ideas. You know what I mean? But you really are stealing from other drummers when you watch them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah. So like going back to it, I mean, I really like Lars growing up. I was a huge Def Leppard fan, like in 5th grade. So like Rick Allen,
nice.
I was like I really thought like I used to. My oldest brother and I, we would go back and forth. I'd say that Rick Allen's a better drummer or something than Lars. We joke around about it. I'm like, he can play better than him with one arm, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I really, those are some of the ones that I had looked up to, just growing up and stuff like that. Just trying to learn from.
Nice. And were you going to the marching band and learning your rudiments, or did you just straight listen to the radio and kind of jump in with the band with that?
No, so when I was in high school, I did march on the drum line and stuff like that. I did that, and actually, when I got into college, I did 2 years at ASU. I was on the ASU drum line.
Oh, nice.
The first year, I started out with cymbals, but then a spot opened up for bass drum, and I actually marched the 8th bass drum. They had 9 bass drums that year. And I was marching 8, and let me tell you, the thing was 3 times my size at the time, and it probably 3 times more than me, but I still carried that thing every bit as far as I could, as long as I could. And this is back in '96 when ASU went to the Rose Bowl. Of course, they lost to, oh my goodness, I want to say Ohio State, or that's bad. I should really know that. It's either Nebraska or Ohio State. It was one or the other. And I know a lot of my friends would probably kill me for this, that I don't know this, that I went to ASU with. But then the next year, I actually marched on the snare line. I played on the snare line with them. So I did that, and then after that, during that time, I was teaching some high schools, just the marching drum line and helping out. A really good friend of mine, his name is Scott Bergner. He's a well-known band director throughout the valley, but now he does for Mesa Public Schools. He's like the president or something of the music program or something out there. But he took me under his wing, and I kind of I ran drum lines for him for quite a while, and we won. We did really well. We won some drum captions and stuff at some state competitions and stuff. They did pretty well. I had some good students under me at that time.
Nice. And a question I have, do you ever go back to practicing with traditional, or is that just something you naturally have to this day?
You know what? Sometimes I do. Sometimes when I'm just sitting with the practice pad, I don't do it when I play drum set. One of my guitar players, he looks at me and he says, "Don't ever play traditional grip in front of me. I'll smack you. So I don't. I mean, and that's not really the case. It feels very weird for me to play traditional on a kit, but sometimes I do it here and there just for like a little showmanship or what, just to change it up a little bit. But I'm generally match all the way. But when I'm just like practicing on a pad or something like that, a lot of times I revert back just because so many years of playing snare and stuff like that. I would switch back to it.
Yeah, and then as far as setups, I noticed you play like a deep tom 4-piece kit. Was that something you always kind of had, or did you go big to small? How did that change for you?
So how that worked out for me was way back in the day when I started with the band called Tribus. I used like a 6-piece kit, so it was like an 8, 10, 12, and then a 14. It wasn't nothing, and then a 20-inch kick. It was actually a Thomas Star Classic. It was a super sweet kit. Again, another thing. Yeah, I would kick myself. That I got rid of all that, but I wanted to try something new. I wanted to get into something different. So I had that. So that was like originally the way I went, and then I got out of that, and then I went to like a 4. And then I sold a couple of those drums, but then I went down to a 4-piece, like a scaled down 4-piece. So I had and I don't know why I did this. I did a 10 and a 14, and I think I realized that I wanted some bigger toms. So then I just got rid of the kit altogether. Nice. So then from there, I actually went to Pearl. I purchased a Pearl kit. It's the SBX Session Studio, which I still have to this day. I love it, actually. So a quick little story is I purchased it, and then I got the 8, 10, 12, 14, but I had a 22-inch kick. So at that time, I was playing with Awakening the Fallen. So I went back to the 6-piece and started doing that. And for some reason, Alex and Jesse one day was like, "This is too much you're lugging around," and they switched it up on me a 4-piece. And then I got mad at them because I said, when we started this gig, I was in a 4-piece, but you wanted me to go back to a 6-piece, so I did. Now I'm back to. I said I didn't even need to buy all this stuff.
Speaking of that band, I still listen to that EP you gave me years ago. There's a song called.
Really?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think that that band was great. There's a song called Anti-Valentine that I can never get enough of. That I think you guys really had something with that song.
Yeah. That was a solid. We actually did that a few years later. So you probably have. It's got more of the electronic drums in it, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Was that something you just sampled or just played off a pad?
So Larry Elia from Mind's Eye, he actually kind of put it together, and he's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "Man, I don't have to do nothing. I'm good. Let's do it."
Yeah, but then you come in on the chorus with the tom pattern, which is perfect for that song.
Yeah, I mean, I do play on that song, but just the verses and stuff like that is kind of, it was new to me. Where once we put it into on the little like an iPad, and I just push play and I wait, and then come in on the chorus and real big notes and stuff like that. So what we actually did was a few years later, we actually made a piano version of it.
Yeah.
So it was actually real piano. We had played. We went to the one in Mesa, the real big studio in Mesa that everybody always. Why can't I think about? Anyway,
not the Pyramid or now you got me blinking.
No.
It will come to me in 2 hours.
Well, absolutely. We'll just put it in the comments when we're promoting it later.
Yeah, I'll be driving. That place. So yeah.
Yeah. So we went there and we actually recorded. We recorded a piano version, and then it was all drums. I did all. I did a scaled down version kind of, and it was real cool, man. I've had a lot of people. I had a lot of people really come at me about Anti-Valentine, and they're like, "And this song's great. This song is." I said, "Yeah." I've heard some very weird stories about girls saying that they turn on that and they make love to it. I'm like, what? I was like, this is a new level for me.
Soundtrack of their life, yeah. But the whole EP is good. I'm blanking out on the names of the other song, but there's one called Loki or Lucky that's really good.
Yeah, Lucky. Yeah.
There you go. So, sorry about that. But yeah, that whole EP.
No, that's all right.
I remember seeing you guys at the Clubhouse. I could get this wrong, but you guys were debuting a video, I believe, or shooting a video. I think it was. I was actually at a show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a really cool experience. You guys sounded really great that night.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a really good band. We got signed to a record label. They were like an affiliate of one of the bigger record labels. It was Dirtbag Records. They had actually signed us. We had started out in like, I think we had started in like '04 or '06 or something like that. Just started getting together and really working on things. And then it took us forever to find a bass player. We actually took, I'm sure you remember Brendan Money.
Yeah, I remember him.
We took him, and he played bass for us for a little while. And then we bounced around through a few different bass players, but it always stayed the same of Alex, myself, and then Jesse Girardi.
Nice. And then after that, you joined a band called An Early Fall, or was that a little bit later down the road?
No, I did. I joined An Early Fall. So actually, the funny thing is, what had actually happened was when Awakening the Fallen came to an end, I actually got a call from Alex, the singer of Awakening the Fallen, says to me, he says, "Hey man," he's like, "I just want to throw this out there." He's like, he was dating a girl at the time, or he knew a girl or something like that, and her younger brother was a drummer. Actually, he was my drum tech for a little while.
Oh, nice.
By the way, the worst drum tech you could ever find, because it was every single time we play out. By the end of the gig, I'm like, "Where's my drum tech? He's got to break down my drums," and he's drunk, so I'm breaking down my drums.
Yeah, we'll just keep names out of that one, but yeah, I understand that one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he knows who he is. He'll hear this, and he'll. But I mean, he still was a good kid. So the way we actually worked it out to where the way we did it was, I said, I'll give you drum lessons, and you be my drum tech, and I did. I gave him a couple lessons, but I mean, it was good times, regardless of which.
And then you stayed how long with that band?
With Awakening the Fallen?
No, in early fall.
Oh, an early fall. I think we were together for like a year and a half.
Nice, and you opened up for some big acts there, right?
We did. We opened up for quite a few big acts. We were doing really well. It's just life got in the way, and everybody started to, it's weird to say it, but I guess we all start growing up a little bit, and we start realizing, we gotta figure out what's going on, what we're doing here, how we're doing, and it's just,
yeah, I've been there.
We started, yeah, we started. I'm not saying it in a bad way, because let me tell you, Early Fall was a fantastic. I had such a great time with that band. Mm-hmm. Everybody in that band was great. Dylan was an amazing vocalist, and she still is. Mm-hmm. She was a solid. She just has a great voice. And then, we brought in Mike Lopez from 32 Leaves. 32 Leaves is a big band.
Oh yeah, here. Yeah. I that's another CD I enjoyed. The first two were really good.
Yeah, such a awesome band. They were really good. So we brought him in, and then Jeremy, the other guitar player was just solid. He was just one of those solid guitar players that like if you think of Chevelle all day long, you could definitely think of Jeremy solid. And then
I don't even want to have like a Perfect Circle-esque. I don't take that the wrong way, but I always had a It just the patterns, and it reminded me a lot of Perfect Circle there.
Yeah, and then you got Evan, the bass player, which Evan was solid. So a funny story about Evan is I played in a band called Illegal Substance. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Illegal Substance. They were around for a little bit. They were signed by Moonshine Records. They were actually it was more of electronic hip hop type thing with the DJ. So it was like two guys rapping, two MCs, and they were white guys nonetheless, with this DJ behind them. Well, the record label thought that it would be fun to create a full band. So they put together like this big 7-piece band. Well, I happened to be working with the DJ and one of the MCs, and they're like, "We really want you to come play with us." I said, "Okay." So anyways, we played for a while. Eventually down the line, when they got a different bass player, I met this guy. I met him just once because we actually did this. It was I'll always know what you did last summer. It's like the third installment of I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's a B film. Nothing's fancy. So the drummer for Illegal Substance at that time, he could not make the gig. So they called me up and they said, well, you're the original drummer in this group. Can you make it? I was like, yeah, sure. So I went with them and I met this guy, Evan. And Evan's the bass player. And I'm watching him just like goof around while we're waiting before we're actually going to do our little scene for the movie. Which, by the way, if you really watch the movie, it's like an hour and 10 minutes. Like if you blink, you're going to miss me because that's all you get to see. And you don't even know it's me anyway.
At least you're in it.
It's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst. I got paid $75 for just being in it for a blink of an eye, so that's pretty good for me.
Yeah, easy day. Yeah, that's great. And then after that, was it a shift into country music, or was there a little bit more on the rock side before going into that?
No. So, after an early fall, after we had left there, I did a little brief stint. Well, during an early fall, actually, Awakening the Fall, when we all kind of got back together. It was Jesse and Alex and I, and then we actually got another guy named Jesse. He used to be in 5-Speed. I don't know if you remember 5-Speed.
Oh yeah, they had a really good song that I forgot the name of this. I hate that. They were in like a cornfield, and it was that was a really good band. Yeah.
Yep. So we actually got Matt was the bass player for 5-Speed, and Jesse was the guitar player. So we actually formed this band called Modern Day Infamy. We only did 3 songs. Well, we were in the midst of actually putting together a full EP, but the band split up rather abruptly too, just out of the blue, just differences and stuff like that. No fault of anybody. It was just at that time I was with an early fall, and I was like we did 1 or 2 shows with Modern Day Infamy. We did 1 show with Modern Day Infamy and like 3 songs. And dude, the band was solid. That band was solid too. It was a very solid rock band. So once that came to a close, I kind of was in limbo for a minute. I really didn't do anything. And then Jesse got back with me, and he actually met this this girl. He's actually married to now. They live in like Vermont. Her name is Jaleesa Belos, and she was on like American Idol. She had done. She was like placed like 75th, but she ended up getting laryngitis. I don't know. They called her the Tiara Girl or something like that one of the years. Anyways, she's a very good vocalist as well. So we started a little project, just the 3 of us, and we called it Color the Lion. Or that's what she thought of. She came up with it. It was a cool name. So we actually did, I don't know, I want to say we did a quick little EP. And at the same time, I actually started playing with Dirt Road Kings. That's when I actually switched over genres. So what I did was, at the time, my girlfriend, which is now my wife, she took me to a country concert, and it was Jason Aldean was like the main act, and then Luke Bryan, and I think it was like Thompson Square. I can't remember exactly. I just remember the 2 main acts. So we walk out there, and we're at like, I always call it like Desert Sky Pavilion. I don't even know, Ashley or whatever it's called.
It changes every 3 months.
So I just remember it as like that or Desert Sky or whatever. So we get there, and I look around, and I'm like, no way, this is ridiculous. How busy? Because at the time, it seemed like rock shows were getting smaller. There wasn't that many people going out to shows. And it was just kind of small, and I looked around. I go, God, I'm in the wrong genre. Look at how busy this looks. That's what I thought. And then watching the concert, watching them play like a lot of rock tunes, and like when you actually really hear it, I'm like, I'm watching the drummers, and they're playing rock drums the whole time.
Yeah, very Def Leppard-esque kind of drumming, like 80s big. It's weird how you see it now, though.
Yeah, it is. It's very weird, and they've got the beat. Wait a second, this is what I grew up on with rock.
Yeah,
there's no way. So that's when I decided. I had thought about it. My mom and dad years ago had told me you need to play country music. You need to do country, and I said, nah. never play country music. I love rock music, and I do. So finally, my wife went out with a friend one night, and she said, "You want to go with me because her husband's coming?" I said, "Sure." So we go out and we do like this little double date thing, and I start talking to the guy, and he goes, "Yeah," we start hearing some country music in the background, and he goes, "It's a good song. I know how to play it." I said, "What do you mean you know how to play it?" He goes, "I'm a guitar player." I said, "Cool." I said, "I'm a drummer," and he had just left. He was actually in a country band. Same thing with him. He was like into like death metal. He wasn't even into heavy metal. He was into like really heavy stuff, and he still is. But we just kind of started from there. We kind of just built, and we built this band, and we called Dirt Road Kings. We still together after 5 years. In the beginning, we played every weekend. I mean, it was, we were just getting booked and booked. It took us a minute, of course. Once we finally got into the scene, the one time we played, they looked at us and said, "You guys aren't ready. Go home and figure it out." And we weren't ready when we did our first gig. It was terrible. It wasn't good, but we thought we were good.
Uh-huh.
So we went home and did our homework. We waited a couple more months, then we got back out. A place called Roman's Oasis out in Goodyear, out here by me,
Nice.
in the West Valley. We started playing. They went, "We got to get you guys out here more often. You guys are really energetic. You guys are funny. You guys are playing all the tunes." And then I think word of mouth got out a little bit about it, and we just started getting booked all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And that's a cool venue, especially the one. I know there's two of them. I don't know if the second one's still open, but the way that place is set up, it's really comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like a hidden gem, on a main road. It's hard to explain.
And if you're not out, if you don't live out here, it's hard to know about it. But I mean, I've talked to people there that come all the way from like Gilbert and stuff like that. That just said, "Oh, we've heard about this place, so we wanted to come check it out." It's just like a little hole, but they've been really great to Dirt Road Kings, and that's actually how I met Buddy Martell. But Martell was out there dancing with his girlfriend at the time, and he says, "Yeah, I'm a drummer too." And I said, "Get up there and play the drums, man. Let me hear." I'm always into that, man. When a drummer comes up and he's at the gig, I said, "Well, come on, man, sit in a couple songs. I'll sit out and have a couple beers." I don't really mind to do that, but he's no. So then later on, I find out that he actually plays guitar too. Mm-hmm. And he sings, and he plays piano, and so he's all versatile. And then he hits me up one day, and he says, Buddy says to me, he says, "Hey man, I'm looking for a drummer. The drummer I have is just too busy and just can't do it right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to find somebody." And in reality, what he really told me later on was, "I'm looking for you, but I know you're with another." And at the time, the Road Kings, we decided it wasn't a hiatus. We just decided, we've done this so long and we've been so busy, we need to take some time and spend with our families on the weekends. Mm-hmm. So we scaled it back. So we were playing like once every other month or every 3 months. So I said, "Well, I said, I might be hip on the idea, man, of," and he really? He said, "Yeah." I said, I got some downtime, and I wouldn't mind, trying to pick it up a little bit, not, and it's just, it's focusing in on more.
Yeah, and then a question I was going to ask, did you feel like you had to change dynamically at all going into country gigs, or did you feel like you just kind of stayed on the same level, or did it change a little bit for you?
You know what? It's cool. It's humbling because I did change. One thing I did change was, which I don't need to, but I went from doing, using a double pedal, mm-hmm. Using double kicks all the time, real fast stuff, to just, I've been using a single pedal now. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, my right foot, man, is phenomenal. Like sometimes when I'm like at the end of the show and I'm doing like that trash can ending, mm-hmm. And it's, everybody's like, I've had a guy come up going like, "Dude, what double pedal you got there?" I was like, "Dude, it's just a single." "No way." I go, "No, dude, I'm just using a single pedal." So it's kind of cool. I mean, I still go back to my double pedal, especially like when I'm sitting here at home or something. It is different because with Dirt Road Kings, I use that Pearl E Pro Live, the electronic one.
Oh, nice.
So it's really cool because it allows us to like play softer than others.
Mm-hmm. you can still wail as hard too, you know.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks is when you're on, if you're up on stage, all you hear is that you can hear it. It's a pain in the butt, but it works. It really does. And I did that, and I do that with Dirt Road Kings only. With Buddy Martell, I actually play an acoustic kit because I started out playing the electronic kit. Our bass player Blue, she was just like, I want that acoustic feel on stage. I want to feel the kick drum when it gets, okay. So, which I'm glad. I really like playing acoustic drums more than electronic, but I mean, it works both ways.
All right, and I know we're all on a little bit of a hiatus yourself. Do you guys see yourself going out pretty soon, like sometime next year, kind of full time back at it?
I think so. The thing is with the way 2020 has been, it's been nice to kind of just step back a little bit, kind of take a break, relax, focus on family, and friends, and just kind of hang out and do things like that. So it's nice to do that, kind of recharge a little bit. But I know we're all getting antsy, and everybody kind of wants to get back to it. I don't know if it's ever going to get back to the way it was. I would hope that it does, but I keep watching, but I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it will, but what would be the best links and pages to check out those two country acts you're playing with right now?
So if you just go on, I almost said MySpace, man. I'm going to date myself real bad.
Have you tried logging into that recently? It's a train wreck.
No, I don't even want to.
Yeah,
I'm scared to. I don't even know what I want to see.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's like a cemetery. It's weird. It's just hard to explain. But anyway,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean, no, that's okay. So if you just go on Facebook, the Buddy Martell Band or Dirt Road Kings AZ would be the two places you want to go to. I forget. I have to plug them real quick because there's such I did a quick little stint in there with Sin Shrift. I don't know if you remember Sin Shrift.
Oh, that sounds super.
So they were out. They were out when Awaking the Fallen was out, and they had actually they didn't have a drummer which they have a fantastic drummer now, and I'm really happy that they got somebody good. I'm really proud of those guys. They seem like they're coming up a little bit, but they had been they floated under the wing of Awaking the Fallen for a long time, and they didn't have a drummer, and they had a couple shows that they needed to fill. They tried, they wanted me to do it full time, but I was just so busy with the country act already that I was going to try to float it in, but it didn't happen. But Sin Shrift is a really good band and stuff like that. They did really well, or they're doing really well. Hopefully they'll get back to it too. I would hope.
Yeah, I think I played some shows with them. It's so hard to remember some stuff sometimes, but yeah, I remember them being really good as well. All right.
Yeah,
and I just want to thank you for coming on and help me out while I get the show started. And I think you're a great drummer on the Phoenix scene, and I look forward to come seeing you live and all that good stuff when it comes back about.
Thanks, man. You too. I got to say real quick, like I've known you for such a long time, and then I never really watched you drum, and then when I saw, I said, no way, dude, that dude there's no way he plays that good. Then I watched you play, and I'm like, no, he's that good. Just the same thing with Gary.
Yeah.
I said the same thing when I watched Gary. I said, Jesus, man. I'm like,
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm still learning, here and there. Yeah, I'm working on some drum videos. I kind of want to push out with the podcast and stuff like that. So it's a learning curve with the the interfaces and recording stuff. But I'm looking forward to that.
No, that's good, man.
All right. But once again, if you like the show, please share with your friends. I'm on the Obvious, YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And once again, thanks a lot, Kevin, for coming on today.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.